Let's go, let's go, let's go, baby. Cal, it's been a minute. It's been a minute, baby. It's been a minute. It's been a minute, baby. It's been a minute. Yes, it has been a while. Welcome to the NOTI Lounge, baby. That went long, didn't it? Welcome to the NOTI Lounge, baby. Welcome to the NOTI Lounge. Let's hit the crowd one more time. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Welcome to the NOTI Lounge. I'm your co-host. I'm thinking about the two brothers, which is going to be back this Saturday. We took a little time off. We had to handle some business. But we're back in effect. Welcome to the NOTI Lounge. I'm your host, Troy Smith. Welcome officially. And if you haven't tuned in or actually logged into or subscribed to the Two Brothers channel, make sure you do so. Go on YouTube and actually type in the word Two Brothers, the number two and brothers, BROTHAS, and subscribe to that channel. Me and my boy and I, Trevor Jackson, the pod father, we have a great discussion about everything under the sun. The two brothers from the projects discussing things from the higher levels. But welcome to the NOTI Lounge, though, where we actually talk about taking your idea off of the paper napkin, as my boy Brian Church would say, and put it into the world so you don't have to overthink your ideas. We're going to focus today on on actual mortgage lending. That's what I do for a living. If you didn't know, now you know. If you need a mortgage, let me know. We're going to talk about the crisis that we're in right now with the Black homeownership. That's what's been going on with that. The Black homeownership, man, there's been a lot going on with that right now. That's a big transition, wasn't it? Went straight to the instrumental from that noise. But either way, it's been a while. It's been a little minute. So thanks so much for being a part of the NOTI Lounge and actually stopping by to listen with me and just talk about it. The Black homeownership, the Black community in regards to homeownership is in a deep crisis at the moment. I mean, more than before. But before we get started, I want you to understand this. Understand this. Just because it's a fact doesn't mean it has to be your fate. Listen to what I just said. Just because it's a fact doesn't mean it has to be your fate. I heard that one day I was at a meeting, man, and someone came in, a guest speaker came in and just mentioned that. And I was like, wow, that's deep. That's actually really deep. I didn't even think about how deep that was. Just because it's a fact don't make it a fake. So look, your fate. So let's break it down right quick before we get deep into the Black homeownership crisis. What exactly is the term, the actual definition of fact? Fact. Things that is known to be true. According to I guess I got that off of Google. Yeah, I got that off of Google. I typed it into the Google guide and it told me. But fact, the actual definition of fact, a thing that is known to be true. Fate. What is the definition of fate? The development of events beyond a person's control, regarded as determined by a supernatural power. That's what fate is. Let me tell you what fate means again. The development of events beyond a person's control, regarded as determined by a supernatural power. So when I heard that young lady say that, when she said that just because it's a fact, it doesn't mean it needs to be your fate. It actually made an imprint in my memory. And I've been thinking about that ever since. So I was thinking about the crisis that the Black community is in when it comes down to home ownership. And there's a lot of facts out there to why African Americans don't own homes. There's been a lot of things in play that African Americans did not actually choose to do or be a part of. Redlining, Jim Crow, all type of things are put in place, slavery, to where it actually trickled into the home lending process. But as of today, even 50 years after the 1968 law, in regards to the 1968 Fair Housing Act, Black home ownership is down worse than even 1968, when it was actually okay to discriminate for lending. So this is according to urban.org. And I believe it's a credible source. And this is the old, not old, but it's 2019 when I got this article. But we're going to talk a little bit about 2021, second year pandemic. But it said the current 30% point gap between black and white home ownership is larger than it was in 1968 when housing discrimination was legal. With the passage of the 1968 Fair Housing Act, the federal government prohibited housing discrimination on the basis of race. But today, the black-white home ownership gap is actually larger than 30%. That was in 2019. Than it was when lenders could legally give prospective white home buyers preferential treatment, according to the Urban Institute research associate Jung Hong Chow. But remember this. So the Urban Institute is an organization actually trying to encourage. They got to go by 2030 to get the black home ownership up to, I think, 60%. That's interesting. But my thing is, why is it so much lower than it was when you was able to be discriminated against? That's what I'm wondering. And I was thinking about this because I'm thinking, like, what in the world was put in place? Or, well, we know what was put in place, but why is it still lingering? And there was 4 things I was looking at that made me think about or really have that conversation with myself and others about what's going on with the black homeownership crisis. And Jim Rohn said this a little while. Jim Rohn, who was unfortunately passed away, not in a bad thing, but he was an actual motivational speaker in the past. And he said, don't be a follower, be a student. Don't be a follower, be a student. Listen to people, get their information, gain information, but come up with your own conclusion. So I decided I want to be a student every day, which I encourage you to be a student every day and learn about as much as you can in regards to wherever you're trying to go. But right now, to my home ownership. If you're a black person or African American that's wanting to get into home ownership or actually been thinking about it, be a student and don't always think that everyone else's situation is like yours. Everyone else's situation is not your situation. But there's 4 things I think we deal with, as black African Americans deal with when it comes down to home ownership. So my question will end up being, as we see, what are the 4 things, and then also what can we do about that? And I got a conclusion at the end. I think it's very simple, very basic, and I hope that you can understand that or follow me behind it, but follow me with it. But I think the issue that we have, number 1 would be is understanding the decisions that we make today or decisions that we make in the past will affect us in the future. See, we do a lot of living for the now rather than for what's going to be happening in the future. For example, so when I was at Tennessee State, when I was in college, when I was a freshman, I was in the dorm and I had my roommates around and we all was around and we were laughing and talking. But then a couple of them was actually excited. And I said, Billy, what you excited about? And he said, man, I just got my refund check. And what is a refund check? I'm 18 years old. What the heck is a refund check? And he said, well, man, I just got $2,000 on my com data. Hold on one second. What's up, boo-boo? Hey, I'm on the air right now, so you on the air. You got quiet. Nice. I got you. I love you. See you in a minute. Look at that. You got to even do the stuff while you're live. We got to get the kids in a minute. But I was talking to my roommates, Billy, and I can't remember. I think Chaz. But I was like, what y'all so happy about? He said, man, I just got $2,000 on my refund check. I said, what is refund? And he said, man, on your card, your ID card, we had something called a ComData ID card. And if you went to Tennessee State or if you got some refunds, you understand what that ComData. And they said, man, call that number to let you know how much money you got. So I called it. It said I had $400. I want to know, how can I get $2,000? So I asked him, I said, Billy, how can I get $2,000? He said, you got to go to the financial aid office. The financial aid office will let you know how you can get some more money. So I went down to the financial aid office. I said, hey, I want to get me $2,000. How can I get $2,000 in regards to a refund check like my roommates? And the financial aid officer said, she mentioned, well, you can increase your loans. I mean, you got $400 of grants given to you. That was from grant money. No student loan. A little bit of student loan, but not much. I said, I want some more money. She said, okay, well, you can get the more money. You pay it back later, but you get it now, but you have to pay it back later. I said, okay, cool. Look, making a decision for today, for that moment. I got it. And I said, well, how much can I get? She told me you might be able to get it. She said, you can get this much. I don't know how much it was at the time. I said, can I get it now? She said, no, you can get it next semester. That next semester, I called my Comdata card and it said your cash balance is, I don't know, $4,000. I was pumped up. I was excited. I got $4,000 that I never had at one time. But I made a decision at that one moment that would affect me further down the road. I say that because of this. We make a lot of decisions based off of someone else's ideas of what they may have experienced that end up being our reality later on down the road. See, now I'm still today, like many others, paying for student loans that I could have avoided a long time ago. But that student loan now, like a lot of people at times, are affecting their opportunity to buy homes. I say that because of this. Black home ownership is at an all-time low because of student debt. This is why on that article I told you about the 5 factors reveal the current crisis Black homeownership has, which according to urban.org, African Americans with 4-year college degrees have a lower homeownership rate than white Americans without a high school diploma. Let that sink in. African Americans with a 4-year college degree have a lower homeownership rate than white Americans with a high school. Without a high school diploma. Although homeownership rates increase as educational attainment increases for both Black and white Americans, white high school dropouts have a homeownership rate of 60.5% compared with 56.4% for Black college graduates. Student loan debt was mentioned as a potentially significant contributor to the growing gap between Black and white homeownership. I say that because I go all the way back to when I was in college as a freshman. And I asked my roommate, how did he get $2,000 in refund? He told me, go talk to student aid lady. The student aid lady showed me what I had. She did give me the opportunity to make my own decision. And I ended up starting a life of building student debt. A lot of people that I've encountered with or talk to when they come down to home ownership, they can't get or get qualified for home ownership or get qualified for a certain loan amount because they have student debt. One of the main reasons why Black America is having issues with Black homeownership or homeownership in general, because of student debt, those golden shackles, a different form in the sense of slavery in that sense. Number 2 being not understanding the importance of credit. We're not understanding the importance of having credit. We're losing, there's certain things, some people may have the idea of saying that, the reason why, let me see how I'm going to put this, without sounding crazy, but credit, not understanding credit in general. I'm going to tell you the story with this. So now we passed college. We done got the money from student loans. I got student loan money, which a lot of us do. Now I'm ready to get a house in 2006. I'm about to graduate. I said, man, it's time for me to get a house because everyone else is buying a house. So I called a real estate agent and said, hey, I want to buy a house. And she said, okay, cool. Do you know what your credit is? I said, no. What the heck is credit? She said, well, this is how you do credit. Here's credit. This is how you pull up your credit. Go here at this website, pull your credit, let you know. I had a 545. And I called her back and said, hey, I got a 545. Is that good or bad? She said, that's not too good, but it's not too bad at that time because all you had to do is breathe and you were able to get you a mortgage loan back in the day. Just breathe. You got a post, good, you get a loan. That's why we're in the situation that we got into later. But we didn't have, what thing we do is have the lack of understanding credit. That's why we have a crisis when it comes down to that. So like I read on that same article with urban.org, Black borrowers are less likely to meet the traditional credit standards necessary to qualify for a mortgage. And I speak from actual experience by being on both sides of the table. According to the research, the white-black gap in transition from rental to homeownership is 7.5% as of 2018. Credit factors which capture the FICO scores, missing FICO indicators, cleaned and file indicators, and various measures of DTI, debt to income, contribute substantially to the white and minority gap. These differences in credit scores by race can be least partially explained by the forces of structural racism. Interesting. To close the gap, credit data systems, technologies must be designed to produce non-discriminatory fair outcomes. So look, what they're talking about is this. There's not sometimes when I talk to a lot of minority borrowers, they always say, oh, okay, my credit, I pay my rent on time. I pay my car note on time. I pay my cell phone on time. But those are all things that don't report to your credit. Those are all situations that don't report to your credit at all. What does report to your credit is credit cards. What does report to your credit is homeownership, home mortgages, car loans. You know those things when you don't pay your insurance, when you don't pay your rent, when you don't pay your light bill, those report to your credit report as negative. But in regards to positive, they don't report to your credit report. So sometimes people say, hey, I pay all these other things. I don't have no debt because my mama told me not to get debt. Their mom and dad told them not to get debt because the reason why their mom and dad told them not to get debt and debt was bad is because they didn't know how to do it properly. So what they say is, don't get no debt. Don't get no credit cards. So when I was at TSU, getting those free Subway sandwiches because I was signing up for a $300 credit card, sign up for credit cards here and there, get you a little sandwich because you did that. And come to find out later on, they end up hindering me because I didn't know the importance of credit. We're in a crisis or a lack of Black homeownership because we don't understand credit. And also we listen to other people's ideas, taking them on as our own by getting more debt. It's got to be a deeper dive in this later on in another pod, but I just want to give you a little brief synopsis of why the Black homeownership is in the crisis mode right now. Why it's much less. We're getting homes less than it was in 1968 when you was easily been able to be discriminated against. We don't understand the credit. But what's the next thing? We got a third thing. Another thing that we have an issue with of understanding and not understanding loan products. So, okay, you may have got some good credit. You may have some different factors in place. You got a little money in the bank, but you may be getting yourself into a certain loan because you qualify for it, not knowing the ramifications around it, where it could end up shackling you even more, like student loans will be. Look, it's a thing called all money is not always good money. Let me say it again. All money doesn't mean it's always good money. Just because you can get it doesn't mean you need to get it. See, sometimes there's a lot of programs out there that we're not fully aware with. We just heard someone else got it, so we think we should get it. Hey, man, I've been paying rent for so long. I pay $2,500 a month in rent. Do you like your place? Yes, I love it. But my cousin told me I should be able to get a house for the rent I pay. So I'm going to go get me a house. Not knowing your cousin's situation doesn't mean you might be ready to get the house. But hey, your cousin told you're paying this much in rent. You need to get your own house. So you look at getting you a house. You find out you got to put some money down. You don't have the money. I've been called plenty of times. Hey, Troy, man, I want this $500 house. Oh, by the way, I don't have no money. If you don't have no money, we may not be able to get a house. But I heard there is a 100% loan I can get. Do you know about that? Okay, let's look at it. But this is the best thing for your situation. Just because the money is out there don't mean you need to go get that, because what happens with that is that oftentimes, if you don't know the parameters of the product, you'll be putting yourself into some golden shackles that you can't get out of unless you do certain things. I say it because all money doesn't mean it's good money. All money don't mean it's good money. I have people all the time that come to me that look like me, African American, they black, and say, hey, Troy, man, I want to refinance my house, or I want to do this and do that with my house. And come to find out, hey, you got a $15,000 grant that's not showing on your credit. It's not showing nowhere around you. But in order for you to sell your house or refinance it, you have to pay that $16,000 off, $15,000, how much ever it is. Because when you first bought your house, because your cousin said you should get one, and the other person told you should get one, not telling you the full parameters about it, now you're $16,000 short. Because you qualified for it doesn't mean it was the best thing for you. All money may not be good. All money may not be good money for all things. So we lack in regards to understanding of making our own decisions and understanding that what we do today will affect us in the future, because we live for the now and not thinking about the future. We lack in regards to understanding credit. We lack in understanding of products that we need to get. Then we lack one last thing, funding. We lack money. We lack funding. We don't have the money to do the down payment. So that's why we do those programs. That's why we do those certain things that may be put in place to help you so-called get a home. But now it puts you in shackles even longer. Hosea 4:6 say this. I hate to go biblical on you, but it just says, our people lack because they lack because they're destroyed because they lack knowledge. A lot of times people go down a rabbit hole or go down a rabbit hole of doing things because they lack the knowledge of understanding about it. They say, hey, man, I don't have the money. Okay, good. Let's talk about this. What if you actually got some money and saved it up a little bit? Let's work it out a little bit so we can make sure it can set you up in the best situation. Just because it's a fact, just because Black homeownership is low and it's a fact, there's factors around that. There's things in place that's been in place, that's been playing for a long time. Doesn't mean it has to be your fate, though. So the question, though, being, okay, Troy, we got those understanding. We lacking this, we lacking that. How can we change it? Is it more education? Is it more classes? Is there more classes and more education and things like that need to be done? More than likely not. Because if you talk loud enough, or you say something loud enough, and you say, I want a house, I want to get a mortgage, say it loud enough around somebody's phone, and the phone might start talking to you. Here you go. There's a house down the street. There's a real estate agent on the phone. There's a mortgage lender on the phone. A computer start talking to you. Alexa start talking to you. Freaking whatever else to start talking to you, because guess what? If you're looking for it, it'll find you. So I don't think it's a lack of opportunity to get educated. I really believe it's the time that comes down to a point to where we actually start to renew the way we look at the stuff. We got to have a renewed mindset. We can't have the same old thought process and expect to see a new outcome. So the old thought process is this. I heard this happens. Can I get it? Not thinking about our own situation. So we go off another person's situation. Hey, I heard I got enough credit. I know I got a little bit more. I think I can go in and get this. So we're not having an education about credit in general. Everyone has a credit person, a credit repair friend they may know. Everybody and their mama selling credit. Their credit might be shot, but they can sell you credit and how to rebuild it. So I don't think it's more of an education opportunity. I think it's more of a thought process change, a mindset change to actually want to learn it, to actually heed to it, and actually increase the Black homeownership that way. I really think that's the mindset thought process plays in that. And I'm glad you read the book, Facebook user. I appreciate that. I'm glad you read the book, and I hope it actually changed your mindset. I appreciate that. And I thank you all that's listening right now, but I hope this all makes sense to you. It's just a brief rundown, a real quick of the Black home ownership crisis that we're facing right now. Let me go back to the top one last time on what it said right here. There's a 30% gap between Black and white home ownership. It's larger than it was in 1968. 1968 was the Fair Housing Act. It was passed in 1968 where they could not discriminate. No one could be discriminated against of home ownership anymore. But guess what? It's lower now than it was then. How crazy is that? Interesting. That's crazy and that's interesting on top of that all together. All right. You can, and it would also say something about the fact that, and this is the interesting fact though, man, this really hit me like a ton of bricks. It said that homeownership is lower for Black college graduates than white high school dropouts. Now that's crazy. That is crazy. White high school dropouts are owning homes more than Black college graduates. And why is that? Why? Because of student loans. It's deep, man. It's deep. So the crisis is there. Now we see it. What can we do now? We got to renew our thought process, renew the mind of how we think about credit, renew our thought process of how we look at people's ideas and what they've gone through and actually place it on ourselves. Understand the importance of getting finances. Start saving a couple dollars a month and put it in your pocket. So when you do, if it comes down to where you need to get the down payment assistance or you get 100% financing, you may have to pay for closing costs. So have some money there so you don't be lacking anything in that part. And this the last thing for those people that may actually own a home now. They always say, hey, I own a house. I did my thing. What about me? Well, let's talk about you right quick. Did you know that that you're living in a financial gold mine? Did you know you live in a financial gold mine? You actually live in a financial investment instrument. See, a lot of people didn't know that. But what happened is we say we got a house. I got my home. I live in it. It's almost paid off. But you swimming and drowning in other debt. Your mortgage pay may be $100 a month, but then you have $1,000 car note, $1,700 worth of credit card bills that you pay monthly. But did you know that you can change all that if you have equity in your house? You don't have to sell your house. You stay living in it. It's called refinancing. Refinancing and just restructuring what you currently have to take care of the needs you may have. Some people don't know that. I have a lot of people that look like me, and some of the people that's listening to this, that say, I didn't know I can do that. Oh, I don't want to get, no. I don't want to get no mortgage on my house because it's the mental thing. I don't want a mortgage on my house. I almost got to pay it off. But you have credit cards with 20% interest on it. Credit cards with a $1,700 payment on it a month. You got a card note that's killing you. You're drowning in debt. Did you know that your house can help you get rid of all of that? It's called refinancing, restructuring your debt. White people do it all the time. They restructuring their debt. They restructuring their outcome to make it better for themselves, to get rid of all of that other stuff. I just threw a lot at you today. If you don't own a home, let's change the way that we think. The way that the Black homeownership crisis would end is about changing the way that we actually look at buying a house. Getting a house is one of the biggest investments you're going to ever do. Largest investment you're going to probably do in your life, besides probably marry somebody, have children. But it's one of the biggest ones you have where money is going to be exchanged for. It's going to be in your house. So let's go into it with the right thought process, the right mindset, so we won't be lacking anything at all. And if you own a house and you're drowning in debt, you need to get rid of it, you have some equity in your house, refinance it. Rates are low right now. Refinance it. All right? If you got any questions, call me. 615-335-1991. That's my cell phone number. I'm giving it to the world. Call me. If you got any questions, you want to refinance, you want to look at home buying, see if you qualify, call me. But I want to give you some tips on as we actually start growing together and actually increasing Black home ownership. All right. I'll holler at you. I appreciate you. Hey, Jasmine, she's on here. Jasmine, Houston Financial is one of those credit repair individuals I know personally that will work with you hand to hand to make sure your credit is strengthened and actually get rid of a lot of old mindset thought process with your credit, getting educated with the credit. Lending wise, you call me. Her husband, Cameron, who's a real estate agent, holler at her and holler at Cameron. That's a dynamic team right there. Get your credit right, get the house you need to be in, and you holler at me, I get you the money you need to get. But we're going to make sure you're going to be in the right product. So you don't be out here looking crazy and saying, Troy put me in this. Because Troy ain't put you in nothing. Troy want to make sure you get taken care of, all right? Look, man, be inspired today. Be encouraged. Oh, I appreciate all you do. Thanks for listening. Let's actually increase Black home ownership. Let's increase home ownership, period. I'll holler at you.